Delta Station was big and cold. It floated in space, far from Earth. Humans and aliens lived there together, but not everyone was happy or safe. Some were poor, some were alone, some were forgotten. This story begins on a cold, dark night. A little human boy named Leo lived on Delta Station. He was 5 years old, small, curious, kind. He lived with his mother in a small room near the market area. His father was a pilot, lost in a space battle long ago. Leo didn't understand war, he just missed his dad, and sometimes he would look at the stars and wonder if his dad could see him. That night, Leo couldn't sleep. The heaters in their room were broken again. His mother was fixing something in the kitchen. Leo got up and took his small blue blanket. It was old but soft, his favorite thing in the world. He walked out quietly into the hallway, barefoot, just to feel the cool floor, like he always did when he couldn't sleep. As he turned the corner near the cargo bay, he saw them, 2 small alien girls, maybe the same age as him. They had silver blue skin and glowing eyes. Their clothes were torn and they were shivering badly. They sat close together behind a pile of boxes. Hiding, scared, cold, Leo stopped. He had never seen anyone like them before. They looked at him with wide eyes, not speaking, not moving, just watching. Other people walked by. Some humans, some aliens. Nobody stopped, nobody helped. It was normal here. Everyone had their own problems. No one cared about 2 freezing alien girls. But Leo did. He walked slowly toward them. The girls shrank back, afraid. Leo said nothing. He just took his blanket, the only one he had, and wrapped it around both of them. The girls looked surprised. One of them touched the edge of the blanket softly. The other leaned into it, eyes closing. Leo smiled, then sat down near them, not too close, just enough to show he was not scared. "I'm Leo," he said softly. No answer, but they looked at him again. Their eyes were big and bright like little moons. One girl whispered something in a strange language, the other nodded. Then they both looked up at the sky through the glass window above the cargo bay. Something up there blinked, a red light far in space. It flashed once, then again like a signal. Leo didn't see it. He was busy watching them, feeling happy that they were warm now. He didn't know what his kindness had done. He didn't know that a small choice could wake something big. Above the station, deep in space, a silent alarm went off. On a far planet, a machine opened its eyes for the first time in 100 years. In a dark ship hidden behind an asteroid, a screen lit up with strange symbols. One word translated into many languages. Bond initiated. Back on the station, the 2 alien girls finally relaxed. One rested her head on the other's shoulder, the blanket covering both like a soft cloud. Leo was sleepy now too. He lay down next to them, using his arm as a pillow. He didn't care that the floor was cold, he felt warm inside. His mother came looking for him a few minutes later. When she saw him sleeping beside 2 alien girls, she gasped. But she didn't wake him. She looked at the scene, felt something powerful in the air, and slowly carried Leo back home. The blanket stayed with the twins. They needed it more. That night, as the station lights dimmed, as ships came and went, as machines hummed quietly, no one knew that something ancient had started again. Because of one small boy, and one small act of kindness, the stars above Delta Station blinked quietly, but something old had awakened far away, deep in the black part of space. A message was received. It came from the past, from a time when the universe was still young. It said only one thing: Bond activated. The twins had no idea what they carried in their blood. They were not normal alien girls. They were the last seeds of a forgotten royal line. A people called the HFY, once powerful, wise, and feared, now almost erased from history. Their customs were lost, their laws buried, but one law still lived in secret. If a child of another race offered shelter with pure heart, the bond would begin, and now, a small human boy named Leo had done just that. Down on Delta Station, life continued as normal. Traders sold fuel, engineers fixed ships, and no one noticed that 2 glowing alien girls were slowly changing everything around them. The twins stayed quiet. They followed Leo at a distance. They did not speak, but their eyes watched everything. They slept near his family room like quiet shadows. Leo's mother didn't know what to do, but something in her heart told her not to send them away. One night, as Leo drew pictures of rockets and stars, the twins watched with wide eyes. He gave them each a crayon. They did not understand, but they copied him. One of them drew a symbol, a spiral star, without knowing why. When Leo's mother saw it, she froze. That symbol was not from Earth. She had seen it once in an old book. A book about lost alien tribes. She took a photo and sent it to a historian friend on Earth. He replied in one line, "You found a royal mark, hide them." At the same time, in a dark corner of the station, others were watching. A secret group called the Vault Seekers. They hunted ancient tech and rare bloodlines for money, and now, their scanners picked up strange energy near the boys' quarters. The leader, a woman with one robotic eye, smiled coldly. "The twins have bonded," she whispered. "Double the price." But something strange was also happening. Old machines on the station began to flicker and glow. Doors that hadn't worked in years started opening. Broken lights repaired themselves. The main power core began to hum softly at night. People joked that ghosts were fixing the place, but the twins were the cause. Their presence was waking up systems designed long ago. Systems built by the same race that had vanished, the Srei. Leo noticed small things. His toy bot, which had stopped walking, now worked again. The old door to the garden dome, once locked, now slid open smoothly. He smiled, thinking it was just good luck. But luck had nothing to do with it. That night, while Leo slept, the two alien girls sat quietly beside his bed. They didn't need sleep, they just watched him. Their glowing eyes full of memory. One of them touched his forehead gently and whispered, "Thank you." And in that moment, a deeper bond formed. Not just kindness, connection far away on an ancient ship hidden behind the moon. A machine woke up, its screen showed Leo's face. The computer whispered, "He is the key." Back on the station, the Vault Seekers made a plan. They would wait for the station to go dark during a solar shift. Then they'd strike, capture the twins, and sell them to the highest bidder. They didn't care who got hurt, they only saw gold. But they didn't know what would happen if they touched the bonded ones long ago. The ancients made a rule. If anyone harmed the bonded twins, the protector would awaken. They didn't know who or what the protector was, and they didn't care. The next day, Leo found the twins near the garden dome. They were playing with flowers. He smiled and gave them each a cookie. The girls laughed, a small sound like wind chimes. It was the first time they had laughed in years. That laugh echoed through the station's metal walls. And deep below, in the heart of the engine room, something heard it, something old and no longer sleeping. The stars above Delta Station stayed silent, but inside the metal walls, everything was changing slowly. Not with noise, not with war, but with kindness from one small human heart, and two alien girls who had once lost all hope. Leo didn't know about royal bloodlines or ancient power. He just knew the twins were his friends now. He called them Leah and Rena. They didn't speak much, but they listened carefully. They copied what he did. They followed him everywhere like shadows with bright eyes. Every morning, Leo would show them things. His toy rocket, his drawing pad, his music player. He pointed to colors, said words slowly and smiled. "Red," he said, showing them an apple picture. "Blue," he said. Pointing at the sky on his screen, the girls repeated softly, "Red, blue." They were learning, and more importantly, they were laughing again one day. Leo drew a heart with crayons. He pointed at it and said, "This is love." The girls looked at the shape, confused. Then Leah put her small hand on her chest. "Love," she whispered, copying him. Rena did the same. The word echoed softly in their minds. Something ancient moved inside their DNA. Their glowing eyes changed for a second, deeper, brighter, older, but Leo didn't notice. He was busy drawing stars. Far above the station, in a hidden control room, a group of scientists watched. They were from the Xenogenetic Research Division. Their computers detected strange energy spikes from Leo's room every time the girls laughed or touched him. One scientist zoomed in on a heat map of the twins and said, "They're activating," another replied. "We need to scan that boy." Back on the station, a secret group known as the Vault Seekers made their move. One of them, a tall man with metal arms, entered the hallway at night. He used a cloaking device to pass by guards unseen. He stopped outside Leo's door holding a tranquilizer gun. He was told to grab the girls and vanish before sunrise. But something went wrong. As he opened the door, Rena's eyes shot open. Her small body began to glow blue. The man fired the dart, but it froze mid-air. Time slowed down. Leah stood up, eyes shining gold. The gun melted in the man's hands before he could scream. Leo woke up, confused and scared. The twins rushed to him and hugged him tight. The metal man stumbled backward and ran. But the hallway cameras caught his face, security was alerted, and someone far more dangerous was now watching everything. The next morning, Leo didn't go to school. His mother held him close, her hands shaking. The twins sat quietly beside him. Holding his hands, he looked at them and whispered, "Are you magic?" They didn't answer. They just smiled that day. The station's chief engineer, Mr. Ronan, visited. He was an old man who had seen many wars. He looked at the twins and said nothing for a long time. Then he pulled a small notebook from his pocket. He showed them a symbol. The twins' eyes lit up. It was the same spiral star they had drawn with Leo. Ronan nodded. "Your people built the first engines we still use today," he said. "They were not just warriors, they were artists. Creators, peacekeepers." The twins touched the page, and it glowed softly. Old tech inside the room came alive, lights blinked. A broken screen showed an ancient message. Code matched. Heart connection confirmed. The message didn't come from Earth. It came from the ship's living core, a system no one used for decades. The system responded only to true emotion, not commands, and somehow Leo's innocent love had awakened it. Now everyone wanted to understand, why was a human boy able to connect with ancient alien code? Why did his touch open doors that had stayed closed for centuries? The answer was simple but powerful. Leo didn't see the twins as aliens. He saw them as friends, and that was the key. That was the bond the ancients wrote about in their last messages. Only through pure heart shall the stars open again. But not everyone was happy. The Vault Seekers were angry. Their first mission had failed now. They planned something more dangerous. They would use the station's own systems to trap the children, not just for money this time, but to control the power waking up inside them. The engine room of Delta Station had not been entered in years. It was dark, silent, full of dust and forgotten machines. Most workers thought it was broken forever. But one night, the heavy metal door opened all by itself. No password, no keycard, just a soft sound like a whisper, as if the room itself had been waiting for someone. Leo stood at the doorway holding Leah and Rena's hands. He didn't know why he came there. He had woken from a dream where a voice said, "Come." The twins had heard it too. They didn't speak, but they followed him without fear. Inside, the lights blinked slowly. One by one, the machines came alive, but not with noise, only warmth. Old screens lit up and showed strange symbols. A voice came from the walls, soft and calm. "Welcome, key bearers, welcome, Guardian." Leo looked around, confused. "Who's talking?" he asked. The twins did not answer. They were staring at the glowing floor. A pattern appeared under their feet. Stars spinning in circles, then the pattern rose into the air. A glowing map of the galaxy floated in front of them in the center of the map. One star blinked red, the voice said, "The past remembers, and the future begins here." The map showed the fall of the Sry Empire. Beautiful cities turned to ash. Ships burning in space, children hidden in escape pods. Two of those children, Leah and Rena, were sent to survive, to wait, to bond, to awaken the one who could guide the balance between stars. That one, it seemed, was Leo. Back on the main deck of the station, alarms started ringing. Engineers couldn't explain the sudden surge of energy. Captain Mirek rushed to the command center. "What's happening?" he asked. No one could answer, but all power lines were now pointing to one location, the engine room. At the same time, the Vault Seekers gathered in secret. Their leader, Vora, slammed her metal fist on the table. "The boy and the twins activated something," she growled. "If they unlock the ship's core, they could control more than just the station." "We strike tonight," another whispered. No mistakes. Back in the engine room, the glowing map changed. It showed an old memory, Leo's father's ship, fighting in the last space war. Then a strange twist appeared. Leo's father had saved an ancient Sarai shuttle before vanishing. Leah gasped and stepped closer to the image. Rena's eyes filled with tears. Leo looked at them and asked, "Did you know him?" Leah touched her chest. She whispered something soft. "Protector." "He carried our crypod." Leo didn't understand everything, but he understood one thing. His father saved the twins when they were babies, and now he had done the same. Maybe this was not an accident. Maybe this was fate. Suddenly the ground shook. A small explosion hit the outer section of the station. The lights flickered and the voice from the wall spoke again. "Warning! External threat detected. Protect the bond." The Vault Seekers had begun their attack. They were using jammers and EMPs to shut down systems. Vora and her hunters were already moving through the shadows. They wore cloaking suits and carried stun blasters. They didn't want damage, they wanted the twins alive. And maybe the boy too, inside the engine room. A hidden chamber opened. A crystal pedestal rose from the ground. On it sat an orb, glowing blue, humming softly. Leah and Rena stepped toward it slowly. The orb floated up and moved between them. Then it pulsed once and flew into Leo's chest. He fell back but didn't cry. Instead, the engine room glowed bright white. His eyes shone for a moment. The voice from the wall said, "Guardian code accepted. Primary core linked." Leo sat up, confused. "I feel strange," he whispered. The twins hugged him from both sides, their skin glowing, their hair flowing like mist. They were now bonded fully, not just as friends, but as ancient soulmates of peace. One human, two aliens, one heart outside. The Vault Seekers broke through the hallways. Guards tried to stop them, but the attackers used dark tech. Gas bombs, pulse grenades, memory scramblers. The twins held Leo's hands and looked toward the door. "They're coming," Rena said softly. It was the first time Leo heard her speak in full English. "We will not run this time," Leah added. The station lights flickered like nervous eyes. Tension filled the air like a thick fog. Something was wrong, something dangerous, and it was getting closer. Leo sat quietly in the engine room with Leah and Rena. The glowing map had faded, but its energy still pulsed through the walls. The boy's heart felt heavy, like something big was about to happen. The twins held his hands tightly. Their skin still warm with ancient light, they didn't speak. But their eyes told the truth. They were afraid. In the dark sky outside the station, a ship appeared. It didn't send any welcome signal. It didn't ask for docking permission. It simply stopped and waited, hidden under a cloud of black static. Its metal hull was covered in scars and spikes. It was a bounty ship, old, deadly, and silent. Inside the ship, a tall creature stood before a glowing screen. His name was Varrock, a half-machine bounty hunter with no soul. His mission was clear: bring back the bonded twins, alive. He didn't care about the child unless the child stood in the way. Then he would remove him. Back on Delta Station, alarms began to sound softly. Only the security team could hear them. A red signal flashed on their screens. "Unknown ship detected." Captain Mirek looked at the data and frowned. "This signature, it belongs to a ghost ship," he said. "Scramble the scouts," but it was too late. Varrock and his team had already entered through the under-tunnels. Moving like shadows, using old smuggler paths no one remembered. They were inside the station now. And they were hunting. Leo, still unaware, felt something in his chest. A deep pressure. He stood up and looked at Leah. "We need to go," he whispered. The twins nodded without knowing why. He led them through a back door in the engine room. A path appeared on the floor in glowing lines, guiding them forward. They moved fast, through silent halls, across dark storage rooms, but the bounty hunters were tracking them. Every step, every breath. The walls of the station shook as systems began to react. Doors locked themselves, lights turned red. The old ship was trying to protect its bonded ones. In the main hallway, Leo tripped. His leg hit a metal pipe and he cried out. Leah rushed to him, but his knee was bleeding. Rena's eyes turned white, glowing bright. She touched his wound with her small hand. A soft light spread from her fingers, and the pain faded. The skin healed in seconds. Leo looked at them with wide eyes. "You healed me," he said, amazed. Leah nodded softly. "You are hurt. Again," she said. Leo didn't understand. "What do you mean again?" But she didn't answer. Far behind them, a loud crash echoed through the hallway. The Vault Seekers had failed. Now Varrock himself was coming. His metal boot slammed against the floor. He moved like a hunter smelling blood. Suddenly, a group of bounty hunters cornered the children near the hangar bay. Leo stepped in front of the twins, his arms out like shields. "Don't touch them," he shouted. But one of the hunters raised his weapon. Before he could fire, a voice boomed from the shadows. "Stop!" A figure stepped forward, wearing dark robes and a strange mask. He was tall, quiet, powerful. He wasn't with the Seekers and not with the bounty crew. He was someone else, someone ancient. The hunters froze. "Who are you?" one asked. The masked figure replied, "I am the last protector of the bond." He raised one hand. Blue fire lit the air. The hunters fell to the ground unconscious. Leo looked at the man with fear and wonder. "Are you here to help us?" The figure nodded. "I was waiting for the one who carries the guardian spark." He pointed to Leo's chest. "You are the one." Behind them, Varrock roared in anger. He burst into the hallway, smashing walls with his steel fists. He saw the twins and moved forward. "Stand aside, human," he shouted. But Leo didn't move. He looked at the masked figure and said, "We stand together." The protector raised both hands. The air shook. A massive shield appeared around Leo and the girls. Varrock charged, but the shield held strong. Lights exploded, the floor cracked, and from deep inside the station's core, something else awakened. The voice returned, this time louder. "Final bond confirmed, unlocking true form." The twins glowed with golden light. Their hair lifted like flames, their hands bright with energy. Leo's body lit up too, blue lines running down his arms. He didn't feel afraid. He felt powerful and connected to everything, to them. The floor of Delta Station trembled. Lights blinked, screens cracked, and the walls echoed with a voice not heard for 1,000 years. "He is the chosen guardian. No harm shall reach him." The voice didn't come from a person. It came from the heart of the ship itself. From its soul, Leo stood still, glowing blue. The twins beside him, shining gold behind them. The masked protector raised his hands once more. The force field cracked under Varrock's fury. But it did not fall. Not yet. Varrock, the half-machine bounty hunter, growled like a wild beast, his arms spun with energy, and his eyes flashed red. "You think a child can stop me?" He shouted, but he didn't understand. This was not just a child. This was a guardian, chosen by an ancient race. Bound by love, not war, the twins stepped forward. Leah's feet touched the metal floor and it lit up under her. Rena raised her small hand and the broken walls began to heal. Machines turned on like waking animals. The entire station was responding to them. Not like tools, but like friends back in the control room. Captain Mirek watched in disbelief. The radar showed the station lifting slightly out of its orbit. "That's impossible," the engineer gasped. "We've been deadlocked for years." But now, systems long frozen were moving again. Backup engines hummed. Gravity stabilizers reset. The station was waking up on the hangar deck. The vault seekers tried to escape, but the exits had sealed. Their weapons stopped working. One of them screamed. "The ship is protecting them." And they were right. The ship had made its choice. Leo looked up at the ceiling. He didn't know why, but he whispered, "Thank you." The voice of the ship replied softly in his mind. "You gave without asking, now we give without limit." Varrock attacked again, leaping forward with all his strength. He punched through the shield, reaching for the twins. But before he could touch them, a blast of energy threw him backward. He crashed into a wall, sparks flying from his chest plate. He stood up slowly, groaning. "This changes nothing," he said. "I will complete the contract." The masked protector stepped forward. Removing his hood, he was not human. His skin was silver, his eyes deep blue. An ancient Sarai warrior, one of the last. "I am Kalor, sworn defender of the bond," he said. "You will not harm them," Varrock laughed. "You're extinct," Kalor replied calmly. "No, we are reborn." As they faced off, the twins turned to Leo. Their voices were soft, almost like music. "You are part of us now," Leah said. "You carry the heart spark," Rena added. Leo blinked. What does that mean?" They looked at him with gentle eyes. "It means where you walk, peace can grow." Then the ceiling of the hangar opened. Starlight spilled in like water, and from the sky, something massive descended, a ship, but not just any ship. A living one, shaped like a bird with wings made of light. It was the Star Nest, the final ship of the Sarai, long hidden, now called back by the twins' full bond. Everyone stopped moving. Even Varrock stared in shock. The Star Nest hovered just above the station. Humming softly, its voice joined the station's voice. "The circle is complete, the Guardian stands. The nest returns." Kalor raised his sword of light. Varrock raised his fists. They charged at each other, and sparks flew. The battle of old versus greed, light versus shadow. The twins held Leo's hands, and together they began to float. The ship lifted them gently, pulling them toward the open sky. Leo didn't feel scared, he felt free. He looked down at Delta Station, now glowing softly. No longer broken, no longer forgotten. The people watched from windows and rooftops. Some cheered, some cried, for the first time in years. They felt hope. Inside the star nest, the trio stood on a glowing platform. Kalor joined them after the fight, his armor cracked. But his heart full. Varrock was gone, not dead, but taken by the nest for judgment, his future unknown. The ship played memories in the air, images of ancient peace, humans and Sarai working side by side. Music, laughter, stars blooming like flowers. And Leo asked, "Can we have that again?" Kalor placed a hand on his shoulder. "With your bond, it can begin." The twins looked out the window at the stars. "Together," they whispered. Leo nodded. He didn't know what would happen next, but he knew this. He wasn't just a little boy anymore. He was part of something bigger, something beautiful. And it all started with a blanket. The stars around the star nest ship sparkled like candles in a dark sea. Everything was quiet but not empty inside the ship. Leo stood near the wide glass window. He looked out into space with wide, shining eyes. Leah and Rena stood beside him, holding his hands, their faces calm but alert. The journey was not over yet. Kylor, the ancient Sarai protector, stood behind them with his arms crossed. He was strong, silent, and proud. But even he couldn't hide the emotion in his voice when he said, "The bond is complete, but danger still breathes." From far across the galaxy, on a dead world with no sunlight, a new enemy had awakened. He was not like Varrock, not a bounty hunter or a thief. He was something older, darker. A creature once feared by all races. He was called Threxen, the Blade Lord, and he had returned. In his hand, he held a weapon made of bone and fire. It glowed with hatred on its surface. A name burned bright: Leo. Not because of what Leo had done, but because of who he had become, a symbol of the old bond, a child who gave without fear, and now, the one who carried hope. Back on the star nest, the ship sang softly. Its voice echoed in the walls. "We approach the circle world," it said, "the home of peace talks. The final step of the bond," Kalor explained. "If we complete the ceremony there, all systems across the galaxy will know the Sarai live again. It will mean peace," he said, "but also war." Leo didn't fully understand, but he nodded. "I just want my friends safe," he said. Leah smiled and squeezed his hand. "You are our brother now," she said softly. "Forever." The ship landed on Circle World, a place full of old temples, green mountains, and quiet lakes. Leaders from many races arrived. Humans, insectoids, stonewalkers, light beings, and even shadow creatures. They all came to witness the return of the bond. Leo stood at the center of the great stone ring, the twins beside him, their robes glowing white. Kalor raised a crystal staff and spoke in a forgotten tongue. The bond ceremony began. As the light of the bond grew stronger, something terrible happened. The sky above cracked open like glass. A black ship, shaped like a claw, burst through the clouds. Threxen had arrived, and he was not alone. Behind him flew 5 other death ships, each one carrying weapons from the Dark Age. The peaceful gathering screamed and ran. Guards activated shields and pilots rushed to their ships. But Threxen ignored them all. He landed hard, smashing part of the stone ring. His eyes locked on Leo. "That child carries the last light," he growled. "End him, and hope dies." Kalor stepped in front of Leo. Sword ready, Leah and Rena moved in sync, their bodies glowing like stars. Leo shook, but he didn't run. He looked into Threxen's eyes and said quietly, "I gave them a blanket, that's all." Threxen paused, confused. "A blanket?" Leo nodded. "Yes, they were cold, and I shared. Why does that scare you?" Threxen roared, "Because that one act will undo centuries of control. If kindness becomes power, then fear becomes weak," he charged. Blade raised high, but before he could strike, the bond lit up like fire. Leah and Rena joined hands with Leo, and their energy rose like a storm. The ground shook, the air sang, and the bond exploded with pure light. Threxen screamed as the power hit him, not with heat or pain, but with memory. He saw his own past, a time when he too had friends, family, love, before hate turned him cold. He dropped to his knees, tears fell from his silver eyes. The blade in his hand shattered. He whispered, "Is it too late for me?" Leo walked forward and placed his hand on Threxen's shoulder. "No," he said gently. "It's never too late." The gathering watched in silence. Even the warriors lowered their weapons. Even the ships powered down. They saw something greater than power. They saw healing. The bond was now complete, not just between Leo and the twins, but between worlds, between hearts that day. Peace began again, not because of armies or deals, but because of a child's small act of kindness, and the love that followed it later, as the sun set over Circle World. Leo sat near a lake with Leah and Rena. They had given him a new blanket. Woven from starlight, it was soft and warm. "We made this for you," Leah said. Rena smiled. "You gave us a chance. Now we give you home." Leo smiled. He didn't want medals or statues. He just wanted this peace-love family. And in the sky above, the stars shone brighter than ever. As if the galaxy itself whispered, "They called him brother forever."